I was 92 when I died, and I thought I knew everything about faith. My name was Margaret Rose Callahan. I was born in 1933 in a small coastal town where the wind always smelled like salt. I died on October 14, 2025, at 4:47 in the afternoon, in a hospital room that smelled like disinfectant and fear. I was gone for 11 minutes, but in those 11 minutes, I lived more than I had in 92 years. Before we continue, close your eyes for 3 seconds and whisper the word light. If you feel something move inside, stay. The light still speaks. Even now, even to you. I need you to understand something. I was a good Catholic. I went to Mass every Sunday. I prayed the rosary every night. I donated to the church. I believed in the Pope. I believed in tradition. I believed in everything I was told to believe. But belief and knowing are not the same thing. I believed, but I did not know. Not until I died. The days before my death were ordinary. I woke each morning to the sound of birds I could no longer see clearly. My eyes had grown dim, clouded with cataracts that made the world look like it was covered in wax paper. I would sit by the window in my small apartment and watch the shapes of people moving below. I could not see their faces anymore, only their shadows. I lived alone, mostly. My daughter visited on Thursdays. She would bring groceries and talk about her children, my grandchildren, who were too busy to visit. She spoke quickly, always looking at her phone, always somewhere else, even when she was sitting right beside me. I did not blame her. The world had become fast, and I had become slow. Every morning I made tea, the same cup. The kettle whistled at the same pitch. I would sit at the small wooden table my husband had built 40 years ago and hold the warm cup between my hands, feeling the heat seep into my bones. My bones were always cold now, even in summer. I went to Mass on Sundays. The church was 3 blocks away, 162 steps from my door to the entrance. I had counted them so many times I no longer needed to think about it. The church smelled like incense and old hymnals. I sat in the same pew every week, 3rd row from the back, on the left side, near the statue of Mary. But somewhere, over the years, my faith had become a routine, a script I followed without feeling. I said the prayers, I sang the hymns, I took communion. But my heart was not in it. My heart was tired. My heart was waiting. I watched the news sometimes. I heard about the Pope, the current Pope, the one everyone seemed to have an opinion about. Some loved him. Some hated him. Some said he was too progressive. Some said he was a heretic. Some said he was leading the church astray. I did not know what to think. I believed the Pope was chosen by God. That was what I had always been taught. But I did not understand him. I did not understand why he spoke the way he did, why he said the things he said. But I was old, and old people are told to trust, to obey, to not question. So I did not question. I just prayed, and I waited. On October 13th, I woke with a strange feeling in my chest. Not pain, not yet, just a heaviness, like something was pressing down on my ribs. I ignored it. I made my tea. I sat by the window. I watched the shadows move below. That afternoon, I went to confession. I do not know why. I had not been in 3 months, but something pulled me there. I confessed the same sins I always confessed: impatience, resentment, envy, small sins, boring sins, the sins of someone who had lived too long and done too little. Father Michael gave me absolution. 3 Hail Marys, and go in peace. I thanked him. I left. I walked home. I made dinner. I watched the evening news. I went to bed. At 3:14 in the morning, I woke to the sound of my own heartbeat. It was loud. Too loud. Uneven. I sat up. The room spun. I tried to stand. My legs would not hold me. I fell. The floor was cold. I tried to call for help. My voice came out as a whisper. No one heard. I do not remember the ambulance. I do not remember the hospital. I only remember waking in a white room with machines beeping around me and my daughter's face above me, her eyes red and swollen. She was holding my hand. She was saying something. I could not hear her. The beeping was too loud. My chest was too tight. I tried to breathe. The air would not come. And then it did. One last breath, deep and cold and final. And then nothing. The silence came first. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper, something older. It was not quiet. It was full. Full of a kind of peace I had never felt in 92 years of living. I was no longer in the hospital room. I was no longer in my body. I was somewhere else. Somewhere that felt like everywhere and nowhere at once. There was no floor beneath me, no sky above me, only light, soft light, warm light, light that did not hurt my eyes, even though my eyes were no longer dim. I could see, truly see. For the first time in years, I could see clearly. Every detail, every color, every shape. I looked down. I saw my hands, but they were not the hands I had known. They were not wrinkled, not spotted with age. They were smooth, young, strong. I touched my face. It was not the face of a 92-year-old woman. It was the face I had at 30, at 20. At some age I could not name. I was not old anymore. I was not tired anymore. I was not in pain anymore. I was free. For a long moment I stood in that light, feeling nothing but wonder. And then I heard a voice, not with my ears, with something deeper, something inside me. Margaret. I turned, and there he was. Jesus. I knew it was him, not because he looked like the paintings in the church, not because he wore a white robe or had a halo. He looked like a man, a carpenter, someone you might pass on the street and not notice. But his eyes were not human. They were ancient, infinite, filled with a love so vast it made my chest ache. He smiled, not with pity, not with judgment, with recognition. "You've been waiting a long time," he said. I could not speak. I could only nod. He stepped closer. His presence was not overwhelming. It was gentle, like sunlight through a window, like the first warm day of spring. "You have questions," he said. I did. So many questions. But only one came to my lips. "Am I dead?" He tilted his head. "Your body is, but you are not your body." I looked down at my hands again, my young hands, my strong hands. "Where am I?" "Between," he said, "between the life you lived and the life you will know." He reached out his hand. "Come, there is something I need to show you." I hesitated, not out of fear, out of habit. I had spent 92 years being told what to do, being told what to believe, being told not to question. But he did not command, he invited. I took his hand. The moment I did, the light around us shifted. It did not fade, it deepened. It became richer, more textured. And suddenly, we were no longer in the void. We were standing in a place I recognized. The church, my church, the one I had attended every Sunday for 40 years. But it was empty, silent. The pews were covered in dust. The candles were unlit. The air smelled like abandonment. I looked at Jesus. He was watching me. "Do you see it?" he asked. "See what?" "What it has become." I looked around. It looked the same to me. Old, worn, but the same. "I don't understand," I said. He walked toward the altar. I followed. As we moved, the walls became transparent. I could see through them. I could see the world outside. I could see people walking past the church without looking, without noticing, without caring. "They have forgotten," Jesus said quietly, "not because they wanted to, but because they were not taught to remember." I looked at him. Taught by who? He did not answer. Instead, he gestured toward the altar. On it, I saw something I had not noticed before. A book, old and heavy and bound in red leather. He opened it. The pages were filled with words I could not read. They shifted and changed as I looked at them. "This is the word," he said. not the book, the living word. The truth that was given before any book was written, before any church was built, before any pope was crowned. I swallowed. My throat felt tight. "What happened to it?" I asked. He looked at me. His eyes were sad, not angry, just sad. "It was buried," he said, "under tradition, under law, under fear." He closed the book. The church around us dissolved. And suddenly, we were somewhere else. We were standing in a grand room, a room I had seen on television, the Vatican, the Apostolic Palace. The walls were covered in gold and art and symbols of power, and in the center of the room, sitting at a desk, was the Pope. I recognized him immediately. The current Pope, the one everyone argued about. He was alone. His head was bowed. He was praying. But his face was lined with exhaustion, with sorrow. Jesus stood beside me watching him. "You wanted to know the truth about his vision," Jesus said quietly. I nodded. "Then look." The room around us shifted. This time, we were inside the Pope's mind. I do not know how I knew this. I just did. I could see his thoughts, his memories, his struggles. I saw him as a young priest, full of passion and hope. I saw him studying the scriptures, searching for truth. I saw him rising through the ranks of the church, not out of ambition, but out of a desire to serve. I saw him chosen as Pope, kneeling in prayer, asking God for guidance. And then, I saw the weight descend on him, the weight of expectation, the weight of tradition, the weight of a church divided, a church drowning in scandal and politics and power struggles. I saw him trying to speak truth, trying to bring the church back to the heart of the gospel, trying to remind people that faith was not about rules. It was about love, about mercy, about seeing God in the face of the poor, the broken, the forgotten. But I also saw the resistance. I saw the cardinals who opposed him, the bishops who whispered behind his back, the priests who preached against him from their pulpits. I saw the media twisting his words. I saw the faithful turning away, confused and angry. And I saw him, alone in his room at night, weeping, asking God if he had failed, asking God if he had led the church astray. I turned to Jesus. Tears were streaming down my face. "Is he wrong?" I asked. "Is he leading the church away from you?" Jesus looked at me. His expression was gentle. "What do you think?" he asked. I hesitated. I thought about the things the Pope had said, about caring for the poor, about welcoming the stranger, about showing mercy instead of judgment, about protecting the earth, about listening to the voices that had been silenced. "I think," I said slowly, "he sounds like you." Jesus smiled. It was a sad smile, a knowing smile. "He does," he said, "and that is why they hate him." The room dissolved. This time, we were standing on a hill. Below us, I could see the world. Not the physical world, the spiritual world. I could see the threads that connected every soul, every heart, every prayer. And I could see the darkness, not the absence of light, but something active, something intentional, something that fed on fear and division and pride. "Do you see it?" Jesus asked. I nodded. I could see it. It was everywhere, in the churches, in the governments, in the homes, in the hearts. "The enemy does not attack the faithful," Jesus said quietly. "He attacks those who speak my name. Because if he can divide them, if he can turn them against each other, then they will do his work for him." I looked at him. "So the Pope is not wrong?" "He is human," Jesus said. "He makes mistakes. He is imperfect, but his heart is in the right place. He sees what I see. The church is not the building. The church is not the institution. The church is the people, the broken, the forgotten, the ones who cry out for love and receive judgment instead." He turned to me. "Margaret, you spent 92 years following rules, saying prayers, going through motions, but did you ever ask yourself what I wanted?" I opened my mouth, closed it. I had no answer. "I did not come to create a religion," he said gently. "I came to show you how to love, how to see each other the way I see you, how to forgive the way I forgive. But somewhere along the way, people forgot. They built walls. They created hierarchies. They decided who was worthy and who was not. And they did it all in my name." He reached out and touched my chest, right over my heart. "The truth is here," he said. "Not in Rome, not in the Vatican, not in any pope or priest or doctrine. Here, in the place where my voice has always been. But you stopped listening. All of you stopped listening. I felt something break inside me, a dam I had been holding for 92 years. I fell to my knees. The tears came, not tears of sadness, tears of release, of understanding, of finally seeing. I wasted it," I whispered. "I wasted my whole life." Jesus knelt beside me. He lifted my face. His eyes were kind. "You did not waste it," he said. "You lived it the only way you knew how. But now you know better, and now you have a choice." "What choice?" "To go back, to speak what you have seen, to tell them the truth." I stared at him. "Go back? But I'm dead." He smiled. "Not yet. Not if you choose to return." I thought about my life, my small apartment, my daughter who barely visited, my body that was old and tired and broken. Why would I go back to that? As if reading my thoughts, Jesus said, "Because there are people who need to hear this. People who are confused, people who are angry, people who have lost their way because they were told that faith was about obedience, not love. You can tell them, you can show them, you can be a witness." I looked down at my hands, my young hands. I did not want to let them go. I did not want to be old again, tired again, in pain again. But I thought about my daughter, about my grandchildren, about the people in my church who sat in the pews every Sunday, going through the motions, just like I had. "What do I say?" I asked. "The truth," Jesus said, "that I do not care about your rituals. I care about your heart, that I do not care about your traditions. I care about your love, that the Pope is not your enemy. Division is, fear is, pride is." He stood. He offered his hand. "Will you go back?" I took his hand. I stood. I looked at him, at his kind eyes, his carpenter's face, his infinite love. "Yes," I said. The light around us exploded, brighter than anything I had ever seen, warmer than anything I had ever felt, and then it collapsed inward, pulling me with it. I heard voices, distant at first, then closer, louder. "She's back. We've got a pulse. Margaret, can you hear me?" I opened my eyes. The hospital room, the machines, the beeping. My daughter's face above me, tears streaming down her cheeks. I was back, in my old body, in my old life. But I was not the same. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital. The doctors said it was a miracle. My heart had stopped for 11 minutes. I should have had brain damage. But I was fine. More than fine. I was alive. Truly alive. For the first time in 92 years. When I came home, I did not go back to my old routine. I called my daughter. I asked her to bring my grandchildren. I talked to them, really talked to them. I listened to them. I told them I loved them. I went back to church, but I did not sit in my usual pew. I sat in the front, and when the priest gave his homily, criticizing the Pope, calling him a heretic, calling him a danger to the faith, I stood up. Everyone turned to look at me. The priest stopped speaking. The church was silent. "I died," I said. My voice was quiet but steady. "I died, and I met Jesus. And he told me something. He told me the Pope is not the problem. We are. We are so busy defending our traditions that we have forgotten his teachings. We are so busy judging each other that we have forgotten his love. The Pope is trying to bring us back to that, and we hate him for it." The church was still silent. Some people looked angry, some looked confused, some looked relieved. The priest stared at me. He did not know what to say. I sat down. My heart was pounding. But I was not afraid. I was free. After the Mass, people came up to me. Some thanked me. Some scolded me. Some walked away without speaking. But I did not care. I had spoken the truth, and the truth was all that mattered. In the weeks that followed, I started a small group, just a few people. People who wanted to talk about faith without fear, without judgment, without politics. We met in my apartment. We read the Gospels. We talked about what they meant. We prayed together. We laughed together. We cried together. And slowly, something began to change. Not just in me, in them, in the people around us. We stopped worrying about who was right and who was wrong. We stopped dividing ourselves into camps. We stopped letting fear control us. We started loving instead. I am 93 now. I do not know how much longer I have. My body is old again, tired again. But my heart is not. My heart is young. My heart is alive. And when I die again, I will not be afraid, because I know what is waiting for me. Not rules, not judgment, not tradition. Love, infinite, unconditional, overwhelming love. That is the truth Jesus showed me. That is the truth the Pope is trying to tell us. That is the truth we all need to remember. Faith is not about defending the Church. Faith is about becoming the Church, the living, breathing, loving body of Christ in the world. That is the vision. That is the truth. That is the light. And if you felt something move inside you as you heard this story, if something awakened in your chest, then it is for you too. You do not need to wait until you die to meet him. He is already here, in every act of kindness, in every moment of mercy, in every choice to love instead of judge. The light still speaks, even now, even to you. If this message awakened something in you, write true faith in the comments. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for yourself. To remind yourself that the light still waits, that the truth is still true, that love is still the answer. And if you cannot write it, then whisper it. Say it out loud wherever you are. Let it become real. Let it become yours. True faith. Say it. Feel it. Live it. The light still speaks.